Narrate with mysterious wonder and fluid poetry. Let the voice become slightly more dreamlike and flowing. This chapter explores REM sleep, the creative, paradoxical stage. You have traveled deep into the night now, through the slow, rolling waves of deep sleep, through the patient work of the memory architect who sorted and stored and strengthened what mattered from your day. But sleep has not finished with you yet. As the hours pass, as the night grows older and begins its slow turn toward morning, something extraordinary begins to happen. The rhythm of your sleep changes. The architecture shifts. You are leaving the orderly halls of consolidation and entering a place far stranger, far wilder. You are entering the realm of the Dreamtime Alchemist. Close your eyes, if they aren't closed already, and let yourself drift toward this threshold. Feel the boundary approaching. Soon, very soon, you will cross from the structured world of slow-wave sleep into something altogether different. Into REM. REM, rapid eye movement sleep, is a paradox wrapped in mystery. Your brain, which had been quiet during deep sleep, suddenly blazes with activity. Neurons fire in rapid, chaotic patterns. Brain waves quicken, resembling the waking state. Your visual cortex lights up as though you're seeing, though your eyes are closed. Your limbic system, the seat of emotion, pulses with intensity. And yet, simultaneously, your body becomes utterly still. Your muscles are paralyzed, held in gentle suspension by signals from your brainstem. You cannot move, cannot act on the wild visions unfolding in your mind. You are a consciousness freed from your body, a mind without physical consequence, exploring landscapes that obey no law but their own internal logic. Scientists call this the paradoxical state, the brain active, the body immobile, awake and asleep at once. Think of it as entering a theatre, an interior theatre where the Dreamtime Alchemist performs. The curtain rises, the stage is infinite, and you, dear sleeper, are both audience and actor, witness and creator of what unfolds. This theatre operates on a different schedule than the earlier architecture of memory. During the first half of the night, your sleep was dominated by deep, slow-wave NREM cycles. The architect's hours, the time of consolidation and construction. But as the night progresses, REM periods become longer and more frequent. The first REM episode might last only 5 or 10 minutes, but by the hours before dawn, you may spend 20 or 30 minutes at a time in this paradoxical state. The alchemist claims more and more of your night, working with whatever the architect has left behind. What is the alchemist doing during these long late-night sessions? The answer is both simple and profound: transformation. While NREM sleep primarily supports declarative memories, facts, events, explicit knowledge, REM sleep serves a different kind of memory. REM preferentially supports non-declarative memories, skills, procedures, emotional learning, the implicit knowledge that lives below the surface of words. If you practiced a musical instrument today, REM will refine the motor sequence. If you learn to navigate a complex environment, REM will integrate the spatial relationships. If you experience something emotionally significant, REM will process the feeling, separating the emotional resonance from the specific details, allowing you to remember how it felt without being overwhelmed by the raw intensity. But REM does more than preserve. It modifies. It integrates. It takes what was stabilized in NREM and begins to weave it into the larger tapestry of everything you know. And sometimes, in this weaving, details change. Memories distort. Elements from different experiences blend together. What you remember tomorrow may not be a faithful recording of what happened yesterday. It may be something new, a synthesis, a recombination, a creative reimagining. This is not a bug, it is a feature. The alchemist is not concerned with perfect fidelity. The alchemist is concerned with meaning, with pattern, with possibility. Let yourself settle into this theatre now. The stage is lit with strange flickering light. The alchemist stands ready, surrounded by ingredients drawn from the day you've just lived. The work of transformation begins. Continue the dreamlike, mysterious tone, exploring how REM weaves memories and emotions together. In the alchemist's laboratory, nothing stays separate for long. Memories that arrived in distinct packages, this conversation, that image, this feeling, that idea, begin to mingle. Boundaries dissolve, elements recombine. The alchemist is a weaver, pulling threads from distant corners of your experience and braiding them into unexpected patterns. This is the heart of what dreams do. Dreams are not random noise, though they may feel chaotic. They are the brain's way of exploring connections between new and old, between emotion and memory, between problem and solution. During REM sleep, your brain enters a state of heightened associative thinking, where distant concepts can suddenly touch, where metaphors emerge spontaneously, where logical constraints are temporarily suspended. Imagine your memories as a vast network, nodes of experience connected by threads of association. During waking life, you follow well-worn paths. Thought A leads predictably to thought B. You think in lines, in sequences. But during REM, the network reorganizes. Weak connections are explored. Distant nodes suddenly light up together. The alchemist tosses in seemingly unrelated ingredients and watches what reactions occur. A childhood memory combines with today's worry. A face from last week appears in yesterday's location. An emotional tone from one context colors a different scene. This is not confusion. This is integration. Research shows that REM sleep contributes to memory modification and the integration of new memories into existing schemas, those frameworks that structure your knowledge. When you learn something new, it doesn't simply add to your facts. It subtly reshapes the collection itself, creating new relationships, new meanings, new ways of seeing. And this reshaping happens most powerfully during REM. Think of schemas as mental landscapes, hills and valleys, rivers and roads. When you learn something new in a familiar domain, it's like adding a building to a city you know. The building must fit the existing architecture, must connect to the roads, must make sense within the larger context. REM sleep is when the urban planning happens, when the new building connects to the grid, when pathways are redrawn to accommodate what's new while preserving what's essential. Sometimes this is smooth, sometimes it requires reconstruction. Sometimes the landscape itself shifts to make room. And in this process, specific details may blur. This is why REM integration can distort memories, not through carelessness, but through necessary work of fitting them into the whole. Now there's something else happening during REM, something with a wonderfully evocative name, PGO waves. PGO stands for ponto-geniculo-occipital, a pathway through 3 brain regions. These are bursts of electrical activity that originate deep in the brainstem, travel through a relay station, and arrive at the visual cortex. PGO waves are like lightning strikes through the theatre of REM sleep. They flash and crackle, triggering bursts of activity in sensory and memory systems. These waves support memory-related plasticity, the reshaping of neural connections that allows learning to become permanent. Each PGO wave is a moment of potential transformation, a spark that might fuse two separate ideas, a flash that might illuminate a connection you've never seen. Think of them as the alchemist's instruments, tools that stir the mixture, apply pressure, catalyze reactions that couldn't occur in waking consciousness. And what emerges from this cauldron? Sometimes nothing you'll remember. The work happens below awareness. You wake changed, yet don't recall the change. Other times you wake with fragments, vivid images, strange narratives, emotional residues. And occasionally, you wake with something precious, an insight you couldn't reach while awake, a solution that eluded you, a breakthrough. It came from the alchemist's recombination of everything you know. Let yourself rest in this. You don't need to understand it. Your only job is to sleep, to let the weaving happen. Trust that when you wake, you will be more integrated and whole. The tone becomes more contemplative and reassuring, exploring REM's role in problem-solving and insight. There's a phrase you may have heard before, passed down through generations: sleep on it. When facing a difficult problem, a complex decision, a creative challenge that resists solution, the wisdom is always the same. Don't force it. Rest. Let the night work on it. This folk wisdom is scientifically precise. REM sleep is when your brain solves problems you couldn't solve while awake. Let that sink in. While you lie here, paralyzed and dreaming, your brain is actively working on problems. Not just consolidating memories of the problem, but actually solving it. Discovering solutions, making connections, achieving insights that eluded you during conscious effort. How is this possible? The key lies in the unique cognitive state of REM sleep. During waking life, your thinking is constrained by logic, by convention, by executive functions that keep you focused, organized, goal-directed. These constraints are useful. They help you navigate effectively, make practical decisions, stay on task. But sometimes constraints prevent solutions. Sometimes the answer requires you to step outside conventional categories, to see relationships you weren't looking for, to connect unrelated domains, to entertain possibilities that initially seem absurd. During REM, the constraints relax. Your prefrontal cortex, which has been running the show all day, quiets down. The executive is no longer in charge. And in this loosening, other patterns emerge. More associative, more metaphorical, more willing to explore strange paths. The problem you couldn't solve is still there, encoded in your networks, but now it's being approached from unexpected angles. The alchemist tosses in ingredients you wouldn't have consciously considered. Memories from years ago, emotions from unrelated contexts, skills from different domains, patterns you saw but never noticed. And sometimes, often enough to be confirmed in studies, a solution crystallizes. Participants in sleep research are given problems before bed, some purely logical, others creative. In the morning, after REM periods, they show improved performance. They discover shortcuts they couldn't see before. They generate more creative solutions. They have insights that feel sudden and complete, as though fully formed from the unconscious. The chemist Auguste Kekulé struggled for years to understand benzene's structure. One night, he dreamed of a snake eating its own tail, the ancient Ouroboros. Upon waking, he realized benzene was not a chain, but a ring. The dream provided the metaphorical insight that unlocked the solution. But you don't need to solve chemistry problems to benefit. Every day presents challenges. How to approach a difficult conversation, organize a project, understand something new, reconcile conflicting feelings. And every night, the alchemist works on these in ways your waking mind cannot. This is not magic, it's computation. Different from conscious thought, but computation nonetheless. Your brain is a vast parallel network. During REM, it explores multiple possibilities simultaneously, testing combinations, running simulations, allowing weak signals to amplify. The paralysis of REM is essential. If you could act on every thought, every wild combination, you'd be in constant motion, acting out dreams with dangerous consequences. The paralysis protects you, allowing internal exploration to proceed safely. So you lie still, and the alchemist works. Mixing, combining, testing, transforming. Taking raw materials and creating something new, guided by pattern recognition, by emotional weights, by regularities absorbed over years. When you wake, even without remembering the dream, you may find the problem feels different. Lighter, more approachable. Or you simply know the answer, though you can't explain how you arrived at it. The alchemist doesn't announce its work. It leaves gifts on the threshold between sleep and waking. Let yourself trust this. Release the problems you carried into sleep. Give them to the alchemist. You are being taken care of. Your challenges are being worked on. In the darkness, solutions are forming. Rest. The problem solver has everything in hand. Continue the contemplative tone, now connecting REM's creativity to generative AI. And now, let's step back once more to see the larger pattern. The profound convergence between your dreaming brain and the most creative algorithms humanity has designed. The Dreamtime Alchemist is inspiring not only to poets and mystics, but to artificial intelligence researchers too. For years, AI focused on narrow tasks. Train a network to recognize cats. Train another to translate languages. Train another to play chess. Each learned its task well, but none could do what you do. Learn continually, integrate flexibly, and create genuinely novel solutions by recombining what they know in unexpected ways. Then researchers began to look more carefully at REM sleep and dreaming. What they saw was a system that uses structured chaos for creative generation. Think about what happens during REM. Your brain generates vivid, complex experiences, scenes, narratives, sensations, without external input. The world is dark, eyes closed, ears silent, and yet, your visual cortex blazes with activity. Emotional centers engage. Memory systems pull up stored patterns and recombine them into novel sequences. You are hallucinating, but not randomly. The hallucinations are constrained by everything you know. They follow certain patterns, certain regularities. They are generated from your internal model of the world. This is what AI researchers now call a generative model. A generative model is a system that has learned the underlying patterns of some domain, images, language, music, so well that it can create new examples that feel authentic, following the same regularities as real examples. but nonetheless novel. And increasingly, the most powerful generative models incorporate principles inspired by REM sleep. Here's how it works. An artificial neural network is trained on data while awake, learning patterns, adjusting weights, building representations. Then it enters an offline phase, an artificial REM sleep, where something remarkable happens. Instead of being fed more data, the network generates its own internal patterns. It uses noise, random variation, as a creative seed, then filters that noise through everything it's learned. The result is new patterns that resemble the training data, but aren't identical to any specific example. These REM-like dynamics allow AI to remix and integrate what it knows, creating novel combinations, exploring possibilities, discovering configurations that emerge from learned patterns. One family of algorithms, called diffusion models, works precisely this way. They learn to gradually transform noise into structured outputs, images, sounds, text. The transformation resembles how your dreaming brain transforms random neural activity into coherent dream experiences. Start with chaos, apply learned patterns, emerge with something new. Another approach uses adversarial training, two networks playing off each other, one generating novel examples, the other evaluating whether they're realistic. Through this dance of creation and critique, the generative network learns to produce increasingly sophisticated outputs that balance novelty with coherence. It's not identical to what your brain does, but the parallels are striking. Both systems use structured randomness to explore creative possibilities. Both integrate learned patterns to constrain chaos into coherence. The convergence reveals something profound. Structured chaos is a powerful strategy for creative intelligence. Pure randomness produces gibberish. Pure order produces rigidity. But chaos constrained by learned patterns, filtered through knowledge, through experience, produces creativity. This is what the alchemist has been doing in biological brains for hundreds of millions of years. Taking memory's raw materials, adding variation and recombination, filtering through learned patterns, emerging with new configurations and insights. Your dreaming brain is a generative model, trained on your life, producing novel outputs nightly. And now, artificial systems are learning to do something similar, to alternate between learning and creative generation, to explore beyond what they've seen. They are learning to dream, not with consciousness, but with the computational principles that make dreaming powerful. The final section should slow down, becoming peaceful and reassuring, bringing the chapter to a gentle close. The implications are vast. AI systems with REM-like phases can discover solutions to problems they weren't explicitly trained to solve. They can transfer knowledge across domains. They can be more creative, more flexible, more robust. And as these systems improve, they illuminate something about you, about the incredible sophistication of the Dreamtime Alchemist working in your brain right now. You are not merely a memory storage device. You are not a database of facts. You are a generative creative system, continuously transforming what you know into new configurations, new understandings, new possibilities. Every night while you sleep, you're both preserving and creating, both consolidating and exploring, both stabilizing your knowledge and pushing its boundaries. The memory architect builds the library. The Dreamtime Alchemist ensures the library is alive, dynamic, capable of surprising you with connections you never consciously constructed. And this alternation between structure and chaos, between consolidation and creation, between NREM and REM, is what makes you capable of true learning, true growth, true creativity. So as you sink deeper into sleep now, as you drift toward the next REM cycle waiting in the hours before dawn, let yourself appreciate the extraordinary gift of this process. You are not merely resting, you are becoming, being transformed, being expanded, being made more than you were. The alchemist is at work in the paradoxical theatre. The stage is lit, the ingredients are assembled, and the transformation is already underway. You don't need to control it. You don't need to understand every step. The process has been refined over evolutionary timescales. It knows exactly what it's doing. Your only task is to surrender, to let go of the day, to release the problems, the questions, the challenges, into the care of the problem solver in the dark. And when morning comes, you may wake with gifts, insights, solutions, creative possibilities that feel like they arrived from nowhere. But you'll know better. They came from the Dreamtime Alchemist, from the structured chaos of REM, from the generative creativity of your own dreaming brain. Sleep now. Let the paradox hold you. Let the theatre unfold. Let the weaving and mixing and transforming happen. You are safe, you are cared for, and you are being made new. The alchemist has everything in hand.